Boog.
Hi, Shoog.
Hi. Well, kids, it has been a learning weekend for our second RV trip in the Soul Horizon. Remember, I got Invisalign, so my speech may sound a little weird. I do apologize. This is a new thing here. So we kind of want to go over what we've learned. It was actually quite a stressful weekend, honestly. For the most part, it's a lot of work for the day and a half we get to do it. So, we're learning, and hopefully it gets easier. So we made a list for you fine peeps of some things. We just wanted to let you know what we learned because we got some feedback that you want to know a little bit more information, some setup, tear down issues, things we go through. So, first thing
I'd like to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Hi.
Okay. That's it. You wasted the time for that. Okay.
Yes.
Moving along. All right. One of the big things we had happen was there was a red alert, and I will show, there was a video that will be in this post. A red alert went off on the fridge, and we lost the AC at the time. And of course, the pups were in here at that time. It was their first trip. So what happened was the breaker was actually flipped out at the pole where we plug our electricity into. The breaker was actually flipped. So
the campsites.
Yeah, the campsite pole where they have the electricity coming into our RV. So we flipped the breaker. All was good. That was a big one. Just before we lost the AC, something interesting, before the red alert started beeping on the fridge, the Dometic freezer outside, where mostly we keep the beer, quite honestly, had gotten about 5 degrees warmer, which we thought was weird, but this hadn't went off just yet, or at least we weren't inside to realize this had went off just yet, which may have been an indication of that it was flipped outside. So if you notice maybe your Dometic freezer getting warmer, maybe check and see if your breaker's flipped or see if this alert is going off in here. So
yeah, I think it wasn't anything that crossed my mind when I would have thought that the breakers at the campsites were always on, always safe. I know they can have, that's why we have our surge protector and our indicator lights, whether or not we have clean electric, but I never really thought of the breaker at the site would ever trip. So it didn't even cross my mind. So again, huge learning curve. We were looking everywhere within the rigs. We were looking at customer support site. We were looking at all of our manuals, and we're like, why can't we figure this out? And we called our dealer, and they're like, check the breaker switch out at the camp site utility pole. So
big continued thank you to Van City in St. Louis, by the way. They've been amazing when we ask them any questions we have. So okay.
So this is specifically for the Soul Horizon. This isn't for everybody. So in our fuse box area, where you can see a bunch of different lights and all the fuses, obviously, and our breakers are all there. One thing I learned while scouring through all of our manuals is that if we do have a fuse blown, we don't necessarily have to guess which one it is, because this cool little rig will have a light that will pop up over the fuse that's blown. So that's pretty cool. Next thing was that when we were without power, and we didn't know how we were going to get power back, if or when, again, you are supposed to slow down at all these things. That's all the other videos of all the really experienced people say, slow down, think it out. And we didn't. We were like, oh my goodness, it's getting warm in here.
The dogs are in here.
Warm. We're going to lose all of our food.
We've taken them on that hike.
Yeah.
You guys probably saw in this video.
And so we didn't think to do one of the obvious things, which is to just take our refrigerator, which can be run off of shore power, off of our battery, or off of propane, and just move it to one of those. Now, granted, that's not going to help with the cooling down of the rig, but we would have at least known our food and everything we had in the fridge would have been safe.
Again, thanks to Van City for, hey, put your fridge on propane while we were fixing that. So thank you, Dan at Van City. Okay, the outside Dometic freezer, currently we have it hooked up with a 12 volt, the cigarette lighter.
It's a Dometic fridge.
Dometic fridge, yes. Dometic fridge. But you can use it as a freezer.
You can.
Yeah. So, the cooler that's out there in the Soul Horizon.
Yes.
But the plug that came with it is the 12 volts, so like a what did I say, car charger. DC, yeah, right, I think. So we had it running off of that, which means it's pulling from our battery. a suggestion also made was to use the 110 power cable. Well, we don't have a 110 power cable. Didn't come with the RV. But Eddie at Van City also was wonderful. Showed us which cable to order. Doesn't come with it, so we ordered one. So going forward, we can run off the electric,
Shore power.
the shore power at the site that we're already paying for, as as we're staying at the campground.
As opposed to tapping into our battery.
Right.
But I got to tell you, that information would have been helpful
Yesterday.
What do I got here?
There you go.
Let's see here. Use paper plates if not on full hookups to save water and save on black tank space. And to dispose of them, you can also use those in the fire. All good points. We actually even spoke to how we could save more black tank space. There's 1,000 ways, don't get me wrong. We're just new to this. We're figuring it out as we go along. But we only have 32 gallons to put in our black tank.
And our gray and black tank are the same in the Horizon.
It's a combination. So every time whether you turn the sink on or whether you flush the toilet or turn the shower on, it's all going into one tank. So it fills up twice as quick as rigs with separate gray and black tanks. So I think we're going to get a camp style collapsible water container that you can set on the table or on a picnic bench with a little spigot. And we can use that not only to wash our hands outside if we're dirty as opposed to in the sink. And again, filling up that gray-black combination tank. But we, for whatever else, you can wash your hair out there. You can do whatever. It's not rocket science, but we are figuring it out as we go along. So, little tip.
So I also want to point out, I don't like to use paper plates, back on the paper plate comment, but the only reason it's okay is because we're going to use them as some kindling and some fire stuff, burn them in the fire. The only reason we would use paper plates is if we don't want to wash the dishes and we don't have a choice. We don't want to fill up that black tank, washing more dishes. Or using our water if we didn't have water. So.
And again, that picnic table container I just mentioned, we could use that to wash dishes, very basic stuff.
Yes.
Or at least fill up a small pot. We fill up a small pot out here, go outside, wash them, and then rinse them with that separate container. So anything just to save on the black tank space, because if you have an RV, the standard model of the level indicator of your tank is apparently crap throughout the industry.
Not reliable.
It's not reliable. It's not accurate. You might hop in when pulling up to your site, turn it all on, and it says you're already 2/3 full.
Yeah.
And that's just because a sensor is stuck somewhere.
Which has been freaking me out. And it's only our second time, so we still got a lot to,
Okay.
A lot of times to use. But anyway, okay, next item. Back to the breaker flip situation. I remember you guys saw, or I'm not sure where this is going to be in the video yet, but we took the pups. We were done. We took them on a long hike, long for them, 3 to 4 miles, and they got too hot and they didn't feel good. And you carried him because you're so sweet, babe. Carried one of them. So we had him in here cooling off. Oh my goodness. They were in here cooling off. Well, when the breaker flipped and the air went out, it's a good thing we were here and didn't run and go do something, just assuming that the AC was going to be on, because the breaker flipped and the dogs would have got hot and potentially could have, that could have been really bad. So something we realized is we need to look at a system like, if anyone's familiar with Tales of Wonderlust, she's awesome. Cass, we watch her a lot. She has a dog and a cat that she travels with full time, and she has a system, I don't remember what it's called, but where she has an app, and on her phone she can tell what the temperature is inside her rig no matter where she is. So it would tell us if anything was happening. So
it's a catchy name like Critter Control or something like that.
It is something like that.
But it also sends you alerts if the temperature starts to rise. So it's not like you just have to constantly look, which you can, but it gives you, you would set it at a certain temperature. Say, you're going to be an hour away hiking. You set it temperature a little bit lower so that you have that hour to spare to get back to your rig, to get to the pets, to make sure that they're okay.
Yes.
All right. So we were in a state park this weekend, as you saw, and we were backed up right against the wood, which is great. We had our own space. Everything was spaced out.
Lots of ticks and ants.
there were a lot more ticks and ants than there would have been on a full gravel site. Absolutely. But I was, because we'd scouted out the site before because it's very close to where we live. Stalked.
Many times.
And I was wondering if mosquito control was going to be an issue. And so I went online and I bought these items called Thermocell. And it is a container, a small, I don't know, it's a housing where it has its own power source, which you screw into the bottom. There's no open flame. It's more like an ember that's in the bottom. And then a sheet of almost like cardboard that goes over the top of that little ember. It's completely safe, but when that little bit of heat rises through that little plate of mosquito repellent, it builds a barrier, a 15-foot barrier all around you. So I purchased 2 because I wanted to have 30 foot, because it's a wide range. We walk around, cook, hang out, whatever. We just wanted extra control.
Seems hobo, I know, and like it's not going to work, but au contraire.
I didn't get a single mosquito bite until this morning when we were shutting the rig down.
When we weren't using it. Yeah, we didn't have it.
So,
and I didn't either, and we always get chewed up.
It's not the cheapest thing, but it's well worth it.
Yeah.
And we're sold on it until something different happens.
Just when we thought we bought everything. Nope,
yes.
You still haven't yet.
Command hooks, they rule, they rock.
We hung some this weekend.
We bought a boatload of them. Again, we're still getting the feel of where everything is and where we would want to hang stuff. So we always would try to make a point to say, oh, wouldn't it have been great if I just came in and I just could hang our jacket right there?
The dog leashes.
Or the dog leashes. Yeah. Put those somewhere. So
we did a couple of those.
We bought probably, I don't know, a dozen command hooks just to start placing in different areas. The keys to the rig, you want to have those somewhere handy, but up and out of the way in the same place all the time.
Yeah.
So that worked out very well.
Yes. Something we realized, so this being our second trip, first trip had full hookups, meaning we had sewer, water, and
electric.
This one we only had electric, so we had to put water in the RV somehow. Initially, we were going to do that via running it from our house into the RV before we left. Hose did not reach.
Quick caveat. The reason we were going to do that is that we figured we could do the extra weight. We're only about 10 miles, I think, from the campgrounds, from our house. And it's like, why screw with filling up at the campsite? We'll just do it here. We know the water. We're city water, so we're going to have good water. It's not going to be well water or whatever state parks are run on. We knew the water source, which we were like, sweet, let's do that. But the hose that we picked up as part of the rig wouldn't reach the house to here. So I'll let you keep going with the story.
Yes. So we went ahead and went to the campground. They had spigots kind of scattered throughout the campground. We used one of them with our filter. So no bacteria or however that works. We've heard it just filters out minerals. Maybe.
Yeah, it's mostly minerals, not microorganisms by any means, but
and we're no scientists, so you should probably figure that part out on your own. Exactly. But we knew we had to use a filter anyway at the campground faucet, so we did. We filled up there, and our water is how many?
We have a 28-gallon freshwater tank.
28-gallon freshwater
times 8. Pause the video. Get out your phone, do the math, because I don't know the math. Makes it a little heavier.
Right, exactly. So we realized it's a good thing we didn't fill up at the house, because just driving from the spigot at the campsite to our site, it was really weighing the tongue down. So it was a good thing we didn't drive with the water. So we realized we can't drive with water in it.
Yeah, again, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So what basically happened was that it put so much weight on the rig and the car to where we had just the slightest of inclines to come down. It was only probably 2-3 feet, and then we were on our level site. But when we got out and I looked at the car, it was probably 3 inches lower than what it was when we started with the additional weight of the water. And so so much that we have a little thing called an ox block. If you've seen some of the previous videos, we use that block to set the tongue jack over the top and raise the rig. But this we couldn't even use it. It wouldn't fit. So again, we had to start thinking outside of the box. How are we going to use different things and different items?
Yeah. Yes. The boys did good. The boys as in the two pups, Ranger and Cowboy.
Yes.
And I think I'm actually going to separate this video out. So maybe the second trip will be a separate video, because this actually has been hopefully a little bit informative of what we found out. But anyway, the boys did a good job, other than us dragging them on the hike, but that's our fault. But they were very well behaved. This is the first time we actually put the table down. So this was their whole area where they slept, and
they only had it told to be stay off the bed once,
and
just once, and they knew this was their area. And it was their jam. Yeah, we stayed out of their area. They stayed out of ours.
Yeah, they did a good job. Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Which one?
Don't take the boys on.
Yeah,
I guess we already kind of covered that.
We covered that, yeah. So it's funny because I think last time we said our whole journey was to get to the park our very first time out, set up and just live and exist and make sure we can do this. So this time we planned a little more. We planned the hike, but what we didn't do, we didn't plan within the plan, which meaning we're like, yeah, we'll take them on the hike, but we really didn't consider the lack of experience they have walking in the heat, because we really don't walk them all that much.
Yeah.
They have a yard to run around in, and so that's
really not that good appearance.
No. But we did bring water again after, and in the middle of all this, my lesson learned is to grab one of our extra backpacks. We're going to throw it in the rig, and I brought one water, 30 ounces for all four of us,
and a dog bowl.
Not
for all four of us. For
But but the dogs were overheated.
Yeah.
We really didn't have enough water. We each had a couple of little sips. We were fine, but obviously they were the ones having the issue, and we really didn't have enough. So the next time we do this, I'm going to bring more water for everybody.
And less mileage.
And and be more conscious of the time of the day when we take them, depending on what that heat situation is going to look like.
Yeah. Yep.
Tablecloth. We bought some personalized ones, as you saw, and the actual table was only 6 foot, and we're like, we can't wait to go there and put our little goofy thing on and be goofballs. And we got there, and we have
Shoog and Boog Adventures.
Yes, it's a 6 foot table covering, and the table was 8 foot. This is where you zoom in on me. Dun 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 dun. So we couldn't use it. So that was kind of a crapshoot. So
But there's a number of issues with that tablecloth. Yeah.
But I think the smart thing to do is get something that'll cover 8 foot if you don't want to be goofy like we are, and just get some picnic table holders or clamps. Throw that into your rig. Make sure that every size table will be covered from here going forward.
Yeah. And I think the last thing we put on here was we couldn't figure out how to get the DVD player to work. We thought when we had it at the house when we first got JT, the Soul Horizon, that we did play a DVD. I know we did, but anyway, last time we went camping, we couldn't figure, this is glamping, folks. This is not camping. This is glamping. So, we want a DVD player every once in a while. So it was frustrating in that we couldn't get it to work. So we talked to Van City. He sent us a little video to see if we had it hooked up right, audio, video cables, all that stuff, making sure the input was on correctly. As it turned out, we weren't as idiotic as we thought maybe we were.
I am.
Well, that's true. Let's not go too far with that. On the back, where the audio video cables connect, you know how it's colored, like, white, red, was it yellow, white,
yes.
White, red, yellow. The input, the female inputs versus the male inputs, you know what I'm saying? The colors, the colors didn't line up, so you didn't connect. You would think you connect yellow to yellow, white to white, red to red. That should make it work. Nope, the colors, I guess they screwed up at the factory or whatever, and the colors don't line up. So I had to line them up in different ways, put the yellow in the red and the red in the white and so on. And then once I did that, we were able to get the video to work. So we did figure out the DVD player. So it wasn't all pure stress this weekend. We did definitely have some fun too, as you'll see in the the other video, but it was way more learning, I think, in our second trip even than our first trip, especially with not having full hookups.
Not having full hookups, but I think it's great that the experience that we learn, you immediately put it to use the next time.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we thought we were like, oh my God, on the first trip, that was like old hat. You know, we're getting much better with food prep. I had everything ready.
That's all you bet.
Yeah. So
I made your sandwich.
You made
for Saturday, didn't you?
It was a massive sandwich.
You're a grown boy.
Yeah.
I say.
And yeah, so everything we learned. So I'm thinking again, everything that we learned during this trip is going to be used during the next one, and everything following. So it just layers on top of each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great time. It took us a minute to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
We did rush getting out there. We were in a traffic jam.
Yeah.
Right as soon as we left our subdivision, there was a huge traffic jam.
Stressful.
It wasn't stressful, but it wasn't what we anticipated. But we got to remind ourselves, slow down,
Mm-hmm.
think it through.
Yep. Try not to snip at each other.
Try not
snap
to,
at
yeah.
each other. We did a little bit.
A little bit. We have a safe word
that we didn't use.
We didn't use.
But the wine helped when it came to dinner and we had some wine. That was sweet.
Yeah.
All right, kids. I think Shoog and Boog are signing off. So thanks if you paid attention. Subscribe if this is interesting. I mean, we mostly are doing this for ourselves and for something to watch later, storing our pictures and videos and just our adventures along the way. But if you like it, feel free to subscribe and keep watching.
Give it 6 thumbs up. Tell your friends about it. And soon we're going to have merchandise.
No, we're not.
No, we're not. We're not.
All right, guys. Talk to you later.
See you guys.
Bye.